they told me there were these two kids who came to their parents and they wanted to go see a PG-13 rated movie. There was only a little bit of bad language and a little bit of violence and a little bit of sexual immorality, and it was okay. But it was okay. It was just a little bit. And so I said, well, let me think about it. Come back and we'll talk tonight after dinner. I came and sat down, and Dad had made a pan of brownies. And I said, you can go see this movie, but I want you to eat these brownies first. And I only made them with a little bit of dog food. And it was a joke throughout high school, but it actually really resonated with me. Every time I asked maybe to do something that was, I want to go hang out with my friends. Well, parents can be home. Well, no, but it's okay. These are good friends. Well, how much food is in your brownies, Jess? And so it sounds so silly, but it helps me so much to remember the foundation that they had laid with me as a kid and as a young adult growing up, realizing what I was committed to and what I believed in and what I stood on. And that little reminder was just enough for me to be like, no, you're right. I can make this decision on my own. No, I don't want to go. No, I don't want to see that movie. No, I'm not going to dress like that. And so that really helped me to help with dating pressure because for me, they had set expectations in how I was going to do in school. So they expected me that my first job was as a student and to do well with what God had given me. And He also gave me an ability for leadership. So I was expected to work in leadership in the church and in school. And then I also was athletic, so I was going to do well on the sports field. And so it helped ease the pressures of my friends all dating because I was busy with other things that God had given me gifts in to work in and to do well. And so it was a lot easier for me to say, I can't, and not blame it on my parents, oh, I'm not allowed to, or blame it on the person, no, I don't want to. But I can't, I am committed to these things, and right now I can't be committed to anything else. And what may have made pressures harder for me in high school, I can't think of a ton of things on. Well, I can't. I think part of the problem was we had family dinner every night, so I was always expected to come home and every night was family dinner, and on weekends we did things together, and I think I took my parents' expectations as needing to be the best at everything all the time, no matter what. And so the pressures of high school, whether that was in my social life, in my academic life, in my sports life, in my leadership life, everything I needed to be the best all the time. And I would burn out about once a week and have a meltdown by the time I got to my senior year. And so it made the pressures harder because I was taking my parents' expectations of how they wanted me to live and kind of taking it on to be the best people pleaser in the world. And that was more my character, was to make everybody happy all the time. But it got to a point where they had to sit me down and tell me that their expectations weren't to be the 4.0 student who's also the best on the soccer team, the best on this, the best on that, and not stay true and all these things. And it was more staying true to who Jesus was and being as close as possible. And that really helped change my ideas of the pressures of high school. And there's a lot more of it.
Awesome. Okay, so now, who wants to?
Okay.
Who are we putting on the hot seat next?
No, I think you read it wrong. It's J-Ball.
Hello. Okay. Judah, what advice would you give someone whose parents have serious reservations about the person they are dating or about them dating at all?
So I was, we all have different school backgrounds. I was homeschooled, but it was more tutorial school, so it wasn't like I was a social backward person. Unless you think I am, that's okay. I wasn't allowed to date in high school, but I sure had a lot of crushes just growing up. And let me think about this. So I guess if I could just share what. So I got frustrated because sometimes I wasn't allowed to go to a dance or go do something that I'd like to do. And looking back now, I guess I want to tell you from like this is hindsight. I'm glad I didn't date in high school. Generally speaking, I don't think that you should date or I don't think you should be in a romantic relationship unless you're right around the time where you're ready to get married. So I'm just going to be honest with you, and so you're going to have crushes. You're going to have these feelings, and I think it's important to have guy-girl friendships. You learn how to be a brother. You learn how to be a sister. You learn how to deal with your heart. You're going to have crushes. People are going to get hurt. And it's just a question about how are you handling your heart? Are you responding with character? It's not that you won't have a crush. It's not that you won't be attracted. It's how do you deal with it. And you're going to have that in high school, and you should interact and learn how to be a brother, learn how to be a sister. I mean, I didn't realize until college that when I read 1 Timothy 5:1 that, you know, it says love a younger woman as you would a sister, and I realized I don't even know how to love my own sister, right? And so you have to learn how to stop being a selfish person. You can't possibly care for someone in marriage until you learn how to love somebody in life. And the only way you learn is by seeing the ugliness of yourself and repenting of that and getting and learning how to love. And so I guess just if I got to keep this short here. Let's see. So I learned some of these lessons in college when I was courting and dating in college. If you're still under your parents' roof, you know. So number one, I don't think we should be in a romantic relationship until we're ready to get married. And most of us, I do know some people who were in high school and they have wonderful marriages. So I'm not trying to make a legal absolute, this is an absolute, but I think as a general principle this is a good thing. Okay? The other thing is that when you're under your parents' roof, that while you can disagree and have communication and you should have conversations about it, you should be willing to talk about it. But when you're under your parents' roof, you need to listen to them. You need to respect them. Because here's the thing: if you still can't afford to live on your own and have a job and take care of yourself, you can't afford to have the consequences of marriage. You can't afford to take care of someone else. You can't afford to take care of a kid. So you need to listen to your parents in that. And I'm not saying your parents are always going to be right. And so I really feel it's important to hear your parents out, not because they're always going to be right, but because, you know, right now you're under their roof, and also they might see something you don't. And I've been in relationships where the parents were overly conservative and overly controlling, and yet, you know, I sat back and I prayed about it, and I thought, you know what, Lord, I need to back off a little bit here. And I wouldn't be married to my wife. I wouldn't be married to my wife. I would be in a miserable marriage right now if I hadn't have done that. If I hadn't have backed off a little bit and looked at the situation in one of my past relationships and just kind of been like, okay, let me look at it from these parents' side of view. Are they over-controlling? Yes. You know, do they have problems? Yes. But let me back up a little bit. And I can tell you right now, I would be in a miserable relationship if I hadn't done that. And so, yeah, there you go. It's kind of all over the board. Let's move on. I'm very passionate about this subject because I want you to be in a good marriage.
One thing, if I can interject here really quick, when he talks about, and Hector and Christy talked about this too, of using your singleness wisely. This is something that I didn't learn until I was 24, 25. I wanted to start dating when I was 15, and I wanted to be married by the time I was 18. And I didn't realize that the Lord had other plans for me. And so it took me a while for him to get a hold of my heart, and for him to realize, or for me to realize that he was number one in my life, and I wasn't number one looking for somebody to be in a relationship with. And so it was by the time I was 24 or 25 that I started being like, okay, I'm going to have fun. I am sick of waiting for a boyfriend to go climbing with. I'm going to go climbing. And I started climbing, and lo and behold, guess who wanted to come climbing with me? But it wasn't until I became really passionate about where God was leading me that I became really attractive